Chapter 13. The vampire's bike tore across the slick surface of the slope. It was a red 1953 Guzzi Falcone. The headlight beam sliced through the darkness like a meat cleaver. A dark wall of fir trees loomed ahead. The vampire ducked his head and dived into the timber. A branch whipped across his mouth, drawing blood from his lips. He slowed down. Slower. Slow. The Guzzi Falcone gave a hiccup, then died. He coasted in neutral until the bike came to a stop in front of the gates of Villa Ottolini. The vampire kicked down the kickstand and dismounted. Right then, he had a flashback. It felt like reliving a scene he'd been through before, a familiar sensation, yet at first he couldn't believe it was real. With a groan of rusty hinges, the gate swung inward. A strange figure appeared on the threshold. It was Admiral GARLIC, the notorious vampire hunter. He had 2 legs, 2 arms, a nice suit, and all that. But where his head should have been, there was a giant bulb of garlic. The vampire stood frozen. His stomach did a slow roll, a wave of vertigo. When Admiral GARLIC reached him, the paralysis snapped. "Listen here, asshole," the vampire growled. "You better get your ass out of here while I'm still in a good enough mood to let you." The Admiral reached into his jacket pocket. "What the fuck are you doing?" the vampire yelled. "Come on, out with it, you bastard." The Admiral pulled out a small case, opened it, and prepped a syringe full of sedative. The vampire opened his mouth as if to protest, but suddenly his face went blank. There was no more anger in him, just a heightened perception of things. The cold hand of fate that you just can't fight. "Please," the Admiral said, "drop your pants and your underwear." The vampire obeyed without a word. He didn't even feel the needle prick. Then he looked up at the sky and collapsed. When he woke up, he was lying in a hospital bed. Everything was a blur. Was it a nightmare? Was he still asleep? It felt like he'd woken up several times since he'd been there, but he wasn't sure. He stepped out for a walk down the hallway. He stopped in front of the room across from his. In the first bed, a man was staring at the ceiling. His lips were twisted. His hair was a mess, and he had a haunted look in his eyes. In the second bed was a young man with his fists clenched tight. His body was arched off the mattress, supported only by his head and his heels. The vampire watched them for a second, then kept walking. At the end of the hall stood the Admiral. He was walking toward him wearing a white lab coat over a high-end suit. He was holding a brown leather file. It was worn and scratched, the corners rubbed smooth. "I want out," the vampire said. "Where's the exit?" The Admiral didn't answer. "Hey, asshole!" the vampire pushed. "I'm talking to you." "Calm down," the Admiral said. "You're safe now." "Fuck you," the vampire snarled. "Get me out of here right now." No answer. The vampire started screaming, his voice turning into a hysterical falsetto. The Admiral backed away slowly, his expression unchanging. "Look at me," he said in a calm, steady voice. "You don't even recognize me? I'm your primary psychiatrist, Dr. Scangarella." The vampire bared his teeth, showing off his sharp fangs. "You're repeating yourself," the Admiral said. "You've been flashing those plastic dentures for years now. You really need to update your act." A wave of dizziness hit the vampire. His legs felt like jelly. His mouth went bone dry. "I don't feel so good." "That's understandable," the Admiral said. "You had another one of your episodes, one of the worst ones yet. They called us last night. You were harassing people on the street. Yeah, you claimed you saw let's see here." He opened the leather file and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. He adjusted his glasses and read, "Children with their eyes sewn shut, dancing in the fire." Then he turned the paper around and showed it to him. "Do you confirm what's written here?" The vampire nodded, absently, his gaze lost in space. "You're under an involuntary hold now," the Admiral said. "You know what that means?" "Mandatory psychiatric treatment," the vampire muttered. "Exactly," the Admiral said. "For now you're staying here with us. You'll get the right care. We'll get you back on your feet. I promise." "Doctor?" the vampire said. "What's wrong with me?" "We've been over this," the Admiral replied. "1,000,000 times. Don't you remember our sessions at the halfway house?" The vampire barely remembered. All he had was the lingering feeling that he'd wasted his youth because of all those years in institutions. You suffer from a psychotic disorder, the Admiral said. We shrinks call it delusional disorder, bizarre type. Doesn't that ring a bell? The vampire shook his head, slowly, dazed. Wait, the Admiral said. He opened the file again and rummaged through the papers. He found a report from a session dated 10 years ago. He read bits and pieces, skipping lines. Boris, the scar, the black cat, the busty blonde, the mad scientist, the T-Rex. Then he stopped reading. Have you heard enough? He snapped the file shut and tucked it under his arm. You've been telling these stories for years. Sure, you come up with a new one every now and then, but it's always the same old crap. Then he gestured to the nurses. Take him back to his room.